Welcome back to round one, where we play just the beginning of a game to give you a taste of what it's like. And today, Elisha and I are going to be playing Cellulose from Genius Games. This is a worker placement game that takes place inside a plant cell. Now, if you're familiar with Genius, they do a lot of games that have an educational spin, and this one is no different. There's a lot of worker placement places to go, and then you've also got this giant board over here that's the roots and the shoots. This is going to come into play during the morning phase. I'm going to give you a very brief overview of how the game is played, and then we're probably going to play a couple rounds. Do you think? A couple rounds, then we'll take a break and we'll come back and tell you about the full experience. But just to give you a little bit of an overview here, there's a few different things going on because there's going to be some card play, there's going to be some resource gathering, not only from the worker placement spots, but from these roots and shoots. Each round is going to be starting with the morning phase. And in the morning phase, you're going to collect CO2 mostly and water from the roots and shoots over here. So there's going to be things that we do during the game that manipulate our player pieces here up the shoots and down here on the roots. It's going to give us sort of some innate water and CO2 to spend, as well as some other things. And then we move on to the daytime phase, and this is sort of the meat and potatoes of the worker placement. We each have 3 workers, but 4 in a 2-player game, so we each have this gray worker that we're going to be placing out on a number of these spaces. We won't go over all of them until we start playing, but these are going to be things that let you collect water, collect more CO2, let you do things like photosynthesis, and all sorts of things, all in an effort to build this cell wall. The cellular wall here is going to be something where we place these green pieces right here when we can to really score a lot of points. And at the end of the daytime phase, actually during the end of the round, another one of these is going to be placed there. This is because this is also sort of the end game trigger. As soon as this cell wall is filled, that's going to be the end of the game. So it's largely player controlled, but there is some built-in mechanics to keep that thing going. You'll also see some cards here across the bottom. These are going to be cards that we can collect and potentially play into a display that are going to give some powers, potentially ongoing powers, but also some things that we can activate on our turn. On your turn, you're going to be placing a worker. Then you may play a card, paying the costs, of course.
Sure.
And the costs are where the sort of the tricky part of this game comes in. There's also a little bit of an area majority situation going on throughout each round, where we're going to move up this track in the central vacuole by putting water here. And you'll see all of this and all of the other things that go on in this game as we play and jump into the first round or 2. And we decided before we started playing that Elisha was going to go first. Now, I get 2 extra water because of that. But going first is probably a decent little benefit.
Sure.
Because as you go into some of these spaces, some of the water is going to go down.
Yeah, so anytime you take a water or a CO2 action, the water level's going to go down for each time that action is taken. I could go there twice, David, so it would just keep going down. You would get less and less every time somebody goes there.
Yeah, that only affects the water, though, so if you want CO2, you can still get it. You also notice that some of these spaces are big, some of them are small. The small ones are for individual pieces, and the big ones can hold multiple pieces. However, they can't hold multiple pieces of the same color. And that goes for our gray one too. So if I put a gray in a space, you cannot, and vice versa. So you can go ahead and start, or we can do it simultaneously with the morning phase. We can collect our sort of income, if you will, from the roots and the shoots. Right now, we're not getting much. Neither of us are getting any water, and we're each getting 1 CO2. So there's your CO2. So I have a little bit more to work with. You're probably going to have to go out and collect some stuff.
I am. So water's where it's at. So I'm going to go ahead and get some water. And
all right. So
I will get 5 pieces.
Yes, you will. 5 pieces of water.
Drops, drips, pieces,
Now,
little baby cubes.
Whenever you get water this way, you'll notice that you can put 0 to 3 of them in the central vacuole if you want. This is for that area majority. It's going to let you score points, and it's good because you can get an extra worker if you're in the lead at the end of the round.
I'm going to go ahead and put 2 in there.
All right, so she's going to put 2. They've got these different little sections here for the different player colors. And we have to remember,
take that down.
The water goes down. So if I want some water, I better get it while I can. However, I've got a plan. So one of the spaces here, the nucleus, is to get the first player marker, which I want from Elisha. But when you do that, you also get to take a card off the top of the deck, which is off camera here. But it's like taking a card down here, which are completely other spaces, but I get the first player marker, and I want one of those cards early so that as I take the rest of my turns, maybe I can get it played. So I am going to go right there, and it's going to cost me 1 CO2, and I'm sorry.
You just hang on. I'm just going to keep it on this and one for you. At the end of the round, you get it,
I want my card at least.
Fine.
All right. Okay. You'll see some of these cards in action. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get this card played, to be honest. The costs are not such that I don't know if I can collect all this stuff, but we'll see.
All right. Next move. I'm going to go over here to ribosomes and get me some proteins. And I'm going to go here and get the 5 instead of the 3. So I'm going to get 5 of those first.
That's not bad. Is that 5? That's 6. There you go.
Thank you.
5 proteins.
I mean, I don't know what I'm going to do with all of them, but TBD.
Man, this takes some doing. So one of the things you'll see, and this is why we're playing a couple rounds, the game really builds, because by the time you're well into the game, we're going to be up these shoots and down these roots and collecting a lot more income and being able to do a lot more juicy actions.
Right.
But for now, I need to get some fuel for some of those actions. And I am going to take, let's see, I'm going to go ahead and take this while I can.
Oof.
So I'm going to take the 6 CO2s.
I got you messed up.
Yeah, you do.
I do.
She was calling them carbohydrates earlier.
Which are the green pieces, not the little gray pieces.
So I am going to take those 6, and again, the water level goes down. Oof, that hurts.
I know.
Actually.
All right, so I'm going to take this free card, and then it's going to cost me 3 protein if I want to play it. But the action here, I don't have the resources to take this action, so I'm just going to hang on to it and play it once I get some more things collected to actually place my piece down here on the roots or the shoots.
And the cool thing about these cards is you can see at the bottom here, there's an action when you play it, but at the very bottom, there's this action that's tied to another protein. Later, if she gets more enzymes, in fact, anytime she adds an enzyme to her display after this card's already there, you can spend a protein to do this action again. So you can keep triggering the enzyme cards. Now this one's called the GH3 synthetase. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly.
You're probably not.
But I wanted to give it a go anyway. All right. So now the rest of these cards, I got one, and these all have such costs associated with them. In the early game, you're going to be collecting cards, but not playing them necessarily as much. I'm going to go here while I can to get 3 of these cytoplast.
They're hormones.
Hormones?
Yeah.
Oh, so yeah, synthesized hormones in the cytoplasm. So that's what I did. I just collected those resources. You got to do a lot of that during the day phase until you can really get a pool of resources together.
For sure. So I think I will go ahead and take 2 hormones myself.
There you go. All right. I am going to try to do something here before the next round begins. I'm going to look over there in the roots and shoots. Unfortunately, well, I guess the middle root and shoot just takes 1 hormone and not any of this ATP. With the ATP is tricky to get because you have to spend 6 water and 6 CO2 to get carbohydrate, and then it costs carbohydrates to get these. And you get a lot of them, and you're going to use them as a resource, but it takes a while to get those carbohydrates going. So I'm actually going to go, you know what? I'm going to go down this middle root here. So I'm going to go on the root section here of the plasma membrane and move this right here.
It costs just 1 hormone.
Costs 1 hormone.
But you will get 2 water.
And then I'll get 2 water at the beginning of the round. So I now have a little bit of water engine built into my sunrise phase. So now we are ready to clean up for the next round. And it's nice, they have these 4 little tokens here. I thought this was a nice touch. They remind you of at least 4 of the 5 steps that you go through. The first step is just to collect all of your player pieces. So I'm going to get all of my player pieces. You can get all of your player pieces.
Technically, this
Technically, that is my gray, and this is your gray. I'm sorry, I made a mistake. But they're both gray. Then you go to these little tokens and run through these steps. The first one is the central vacuole. So I'm going to flip that over. It reminds us to go up here and resolve this. Yes, this is going to be good for you. So the winner is the person who has the most here. And you do a few things. So you go through these steps. Whoever's first is going to advance on this track. So you advance and you get a point for advancing. So you're going to get all these points as you climb this track. Then you take all your water and it goes away. Then, and this is probably the most important part, you get this extra player piece, which is very nice. And the next thing you do here is the cell wall. So I'm going to take one of these and place this carbohydrate right here on the first space. So this is going to naturally start filling in. You can see we've already canceled one of the 12-point spots. So the points are going to continue to decrease for the most part. They increase again at the end, and they keep going down and down. And then these spots here, once they reach there, the water level is going to reset to a higher level, which is the next thing that happens. I'm going to flip this token. It's going to go back up to 5 because we're not too far yet. And then finally, we're going to refresh this display. These 2 spots are going to disappear. Those will slide down, and we get 2 more cards to the display. And then, not that we need these, but I kind of like that they're here.
It's kind of nice.
It is
little
nice.
check boxes.
Because sometimes people forget all those things.
Yeah.
And then we go back to the beginning, and we're going to do the morning phase. We're going to do another action phase or daytime phase, and then we'll refresh, and then we'll finish the game and come back and tell you all about it. So we're back to the morning phase, though.
Yep.
So we each get a CO2.
Yep.
You got a lot of resources now.
I mean, I haven't spent anything really.
I have quite a bit of CO2 also. But I, get 2 water.
Boo.
I mean, it's just 2 water. But
all right, I'm going to relinquish this now because you were on that spot.
Give me that. So we've done that, and now I get to go first, which is really exciting, but I haven't thought exactly what I'm going to do. But I kind of know because I'm going to go here straight away.
Fine.
And get 5 water. Now, do I want
to put some in the central vacuole?
You can go ahead and lower it. I do think I want to put some in the central vacuole. So I'm going to go ahead and put... You know what? I'm just going to put 1 up there, though.
What?
Yeah, I'm just going to put 1.
Don't go cheapy.
We'll see. We'll see. She might come over the top with more water. It's tempting her, and I know now she's going to do it.
Well, what's fun is that at the end, so if we both have water pieces in there, only the winner of that loses all their pieces. The person who didn't win gets to keep their pieces in there.
Their water stays. It's very nice.
I couldn't remember if it's all of the water or if they do lose a water. I can't remember.
No, the person who loses doesn't lose any water, but they don't really get anything from it.
Right, except a head start for the next round.
Exactly. Now, if there's a tie in here, every player is going to go up on the track and score the points, but nobody is going to get the extra player piece. It's just going to sit there, and we will lose our water as well from that.
Okay.
But none of that happened, so I got some water and put 1 of them in the central vacuole.
Fine. All right, well, I'm going to get some water while the getting's good. Whoop. I'm going to hang out with you, David. Oh, hi, David. I get 4. And then it's going to go down to 3. And do I want to commit?
Nah, I wouldn't. If it were me, I wouldn't.
Oh, well.
I would just put...
3, 4, 5, 6...
I mean, you could put 1 in there. That's an interesting play.
Right, because then
we don't.
tied up.
No one gets the gray thing. I didn't mean to give you that
Oh wait,
idea.
I'm in the little blue spot.
Yeah.
Oh, this is how you can tell whose is whose.
Exactly.
See, it thought of everything.
Clever. Clever. No wonder they're called genius games. Are you done?
Yes, that's it. And I already moved the water level down.
Okay. Now I'm going to do some things that the game is all about.
Listen.
I am going to go here. Now, you could go here and do this twice, but you'd need 12 water and 12 CO2, which is not going to happen until a little bit later in the game, for sure. But I'm going to go here and do 1 photosynthesis action. So I'm going to take 6 of my water and 6 of my CO2, and it's going to get me a carbohydrate. Now, this doesn't go anywhere right now. It just goes here because there's a whole nother action to use that. Like I said, I could use them here to get these ATPs, or I could use them here to get on the cellular wall.
I'm going to go ahead and go here and get 6 CO2 myself.
Ooh.
Now the water level
No,
goes
the
down
water
to
is gone. How many?
6.
Oh.
Yes, sir.
Oh, it looks like someone else is going
Maybe
to be doing that. Okay, so I'm going to get, while the getting's good, I am going to go here.
Look at
Potentially
you.
be a jerk. I'm going to go there and spend, place this carbohydrate on the cell wall. I'm going to place it right there, which gives me 12 points. So boom, up to 12 points. And this one also lets you automatically add a water from the supply to the central vacuole.
Listen.
You forgot about that, didn't you?
I did a little bit, yeah. Well,
Yeah, this little symbol here, it'll show up on some cards, like right here. During the daytime, you just get to do, or during the morning, you just get to do that. But yeah, it shows up right here. So whenever you add to the cell wall, you also get to add a water in your area, but not from your personal supply.
all right, well.
But you've got more actions than me.
I do. I've got plenty of actions.
You do.
Let's see.
Yeah, and that route that you were thinking about going down earlier does take an ATP.
I know. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hang out next to you because I do have a little blue guy left. So you couldn't block my gray guys.
I didn't block our gray guys.
He tried.
I did try.
All right. So I'm going to turn in 6 water and 6 CO2. I'm going to get me a carbohydrate. And I'm going to hang on to that bad boy. Boop. You got 1 guy left.
Unlike real life, you do want carbohydrates in this game.
Oh, I don't care. I really like carbohydrates.
That's true.
Bread and pasta.
Bread.
That's where it's at.
All right, this is my last action, and you have 2 after that. That does not feel good. Oh, you didn't, you get to add a water.
Thank you, baby.
To your area. So we're still tied. Is there a way I can add more water to that area? I don't think there is. I'm going to go here on the shoots, and I'm going to spend 1 of my hormones to move this up here to get just a little more CO2. And that's not a huge move, but when you get up to the ends of the shoots, you can get some significant stuff. Also, if we didn't know, there's some things you get immediately when you move there, these points with the exclamation marks.
Did you pay your hormone?
I did pay my hormone. I had 2, and now I have 1 left.
Watching you.
She does. She wanted me like a hawk.
Okay.
Now I'll just sit here patiently while you take your turns.
So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go here. And I'm going to take and cash in this.
Nice.
For 6 of those. ATP, is that what they're called?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. ATP. Yeah, those like I said, those are gonna be used for a number of different things. But she's looking, I think, to probably go down the chutes or
I
play a
do want to go
card.
down a route, I think.
Or route, rather.
Yeah, because playing a card.
Oh, you could get that card. Oh. Yeah, so if you look at her card here, this lets you take that action that you were probably eyeing.
Yeah.
It's not going to go. So you could just play this card at the end of your last action, because you can always play a card if you have one, if you can pay for it.
Sure.
During your turn. So she's going to play this card here for 3 protein.
Yep. Thank you.
Then you can immediately take this action, which is the root or shoot, and you get 2 points immediately. 1, 2.
Thank you. And I'm going to go ahead and go down this route.
Nice. So that's going to still cost you. So she has to pay the protein, or the
ATP and the hormone.
ATP, the 2 hormones. Now she's set, and she hasn't burnt her action going here.
I still have a dude.
In fact, you still have a dude, and you could still potentially even go there if you have...
I don't have...
Oh, you don't have the means.
I don't have enough hormones.
You need the hormones, which
I do.
you could do.
I can go ahead and... I think I will just go ahead and get some hormones
Get 3
going.
hormones?
Yeah.
That's a good idea. So there are 3 hormones. And that is all of our workers played. So again, we go to the cleanup. We're just going to take our guys back. This gray guy, or one of them, is going to go back here because we've tied here. So the central vacuole is tied. All this water gets discarded. We both go up. You get a point, and I get a point. Then we're gonna add a carbohydrate naturally to the cell wall. We're getting closer to that benchmark there. Then that goes back up to 5. And then finally, these two guards get burnt effectively. These slide down. Those get refilled. And we're ready for another morning phase. And this is where we'll stop. We're going to go ahead and continue play the rest of this game. We have all of this to get through, which can start going a lot faster because there are going to be times, I guarantee you, in this game where we use this action to do 2 of those, to get 2 carbohydrates. And then if you can go here with one of your color and a gray, you're putting 2 things on here. So it can get pretty quick getting to the end game. And then once we're all done, we'll come back and tell you about the entire experience, and we'll see you then. And we are back, and as almost every round 1, you can hear in the tone of my voice, I didn't win. Elisha crushed me pretty well. She was 1 step ahead of me a lot of the ways. Now, I will say there may be a little bit of an asterisk here.
There's a little asterisk. I did a
There may have been a little slightly extra action taken in the first round, but I still think she would have won because she's got me by most of the board. So I have 61 and you have 89. So it was a win, no matter how you look at it. One of the things that she did a lot of was the central vacuole.
That's so satisfying.
Not only was it getting her points throughout, and she got all these points several times. In fact, she tapped these 2 points here at the top a couple times.
Yeah, 2-3 times.
But more importantly, she got this extra action a lot of the rounds. I had it 1 round.
Yeah, and I was sitting on first player for most of the game.
Yeah, I took first player. I think I had first player 1 to 3 rounds in there, but she took it back and then she kept it for the rest of the game because I really was just trying to get some other things done. But like I said, she had this extra token, and it was mainly because she went down this root system over here so that during the morning phase, she was getting just +3 in here every round.
Yeah.
So she was starting there with 3. So even if I had some left over, she'd tie it up.
Yeah, you won that 1 time.
I did. I won 2 times because I did get up to this second space.
True.
We may have tied. Actually, no. We tied one of them and we went up 1.
That's
then
right.
I won 1 and actually got it. So I did have the extra token once.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. And early on, I really started to think we weren't going to get many cards played.
Oh, no.
Because it wasn't really happening at the beginning of the game. But like I said, the game really ramps up. And you can see here, I got these 2 enzymes played. I've got this protein storage vacuole and this enzyme production card. These are the only ones I got played. I was able to tap these a couple times. This is one that was left over. Elisha had a big stack of enzymes.
So I did. I had a big train of those going.
And like we said earlier, when you add an enzyme, you are able to fire off these other ones as long as you have the proteins to do so. She had one that gave her 2 points. She had one that let her take the cell wall action to place here. Early in the game, you can see, obviously, we did finish the cell wall all the way. I think...
You did most of that, honestly.
I did a lot of it early.
Yeah.
But then Elisha came in towards the end. And it was interesting because if you can see here, these go 9 down to 6. But then when you cross over here, it goes back up to 8, 7, 6, and then 7, 8, 8, 6. So it kind of gets interesting. So round to round, you're sitting there going, I'm actually not going to take this action because I'm going to maybe wait until they take the action, and then I can jump on the 8 points as opposed to the 7. Now, it is just 1 point.
Sure.
But every point counts. So yeah, it was a lot of different ways of scoring our points. This one, the chloroplasts section here where you can go twice and use 12. You know, we'd said earlier that it can happen towards the end. It happened sooner than I thought. As soon as we cut the cameras, I think it happened maybe on the very next round or the round after that.
Yeah.
But then it happened quite a bit. She had an insane engine because she got all the way up to the top of the chute and down here at the bottom of the root. So she was getting 8 CO2 and 5 water every morning, plus 3 in the central vacuole. I did okay on water.
Yeah. You got to do this a couple of times.
Not so much on the CO2. I didn't go up there for whatever reason. Mistake on my part. But I wasn't getting the CO2. But yeah, we got a lot of cards played. We got that cellular wall built. Let's say, I mean, you saw 2 rounds. I would guess that we didn't keep track.
We did another 5,
but I would
maybe?
guess, and I would guess
5,
it was
6?
more than that. Probably anywhere between 5 and 8 rounds is my guess, is what the rest of the game took. So again, it's player controlled, but we were really getting the cell wall built quite a bit. And then Elisha got some points on
11th
her
hour
too.
card, which was quite nice.
She got this starch card towards the end because she had 2 of these carbohydrates, but the wall was complete, so there was no way that she could score more points. So she picked up this card, spent the 2 on there for the 12 points.
Right, yeah, because what I had done was I bought this one first,
Yeah.
which let me get those 2 carbohydrates. So I was able to pay to take this action. I triggered off a bunch of other things, and then I went ahead and, so I was able to get this to pay for this, and so I got this card next and last, and was able to score some big points.
Yeah, my lesson learned here is don't underestimate that card engine you can get going. You definitely want to keep an eye out for these cards. Like I said, early on, you look at those cards and you're like, oh, I can't even get a card played because I can't pay for them, so you kind of don't think about them. But as soon as you can start paying for them, you need to look at what cards are available, because there were a couple after we turned the cameras off where I took one and she was furious that I took it.
That's true.
And then she took one at another point, in fact, the very next round, and I was a little upset that she took it because I really wanted it, and you could really get this awesome enzyme engine going. But that was our experience playing Cellulose. Again, Elisha beat me by a healthy margin of points.
I mean, he lets me win.
That is not true. That is absolutely not true. But if you have any questions at all about the game, please make them in the comments below, and we will try to answer what we can. Until next time, though, make sure everyone has fun at the table, and we'll see you then. Congratulations, you got to the end of one of our videos. Now, if you want more practice, just click on the video over here. It's another video. You might not have seen it yet, so click on it. If you don't want to do that, at least click on the subscription button below. That always helps us. And if you want notifications, please ring that bell.